Hello everyone.
I'm from Khan Studio, and today we're diving into a personal favorite of mine, The Equalizer, Part 1. It's about an ordinary old man, or so you'd think.
But behind the scenes, he's a legendary killer. A certain event pulls him back into action. Before we begin, a like and share would mean a lot.
The story begins in Boston. Robert McCall, our leading actor, is a widower living alone.
He's organized, precise, and times everything he does.
He works at Home Mart, a hardware store. Nobody there knows his past, or what kind of life he once led.
Though mysterious, he gets along with everyone and always helps his co-workers. During lunch breaks, he usually eats with Ralphie.
Ralphie wants to transfer to security, so he's watching his weight closely.
Robert encourages him to work out. At night, once he's done with chores, he heads to a local diner to read. He finds peace there. That's also where he often sees a young woman named Elena. They greet each other casually and talk about books he's reading.
One night,
Elena gets a call from her Russian boss.
His name is Slavy.
He orders her out to meet a client.
Though reluctant, she has no choice but to go.
From their conversation, Robert learns the truth. She's working as an escort. She's in debt to Slavy. He can only watch her walk away in silence.
But it's not really his business to interfere. Meanwhile, Ralphie just needs to drop a bit more weight to qualify for the security test. Even on Robert's day off, he comes to train him just like an Olympic coach would.
Ralphie is determined to land the job.
Robert motivates him daily.
Don't give up, Ralphie.
You've got this. He lives like any normal man, work by day, home by night.
But one evening, things change at the diner. Elena asks to sit with him.
As they chat more, he notices a bruise and gently asks what happened. She shrugged it off as nothing.
Then opens up. She dreams of being a singer and hands him her demo CD to listen to. Robert accepts it with a smile.
Wow, singer Elena.
She lowers her gaze, shyly murmuring, "You know what I really am."
He smiles and replies, "You can be anything you want to be." She sighs, "Not in my world."
Robert responds,
"Then change your world."
Elena notices.
His ring finger is bare. "No wedding ring."
He replies, "No, Mrs. McCall."
She asks if she left him. He says she passed. She saw the loneliness in his eyes.
He tells her how his wife loved books, aiming to read the top 100 must-reads. She got up to number 97. So he picked up where she left off. He's now on book 91.
Elena says, "That's amazing." Then her phone rings, but she ignores it, choosing to talk with Robert instead. Later, they walk home together.
As they're about to part ways, a car suddenly blocks them.
Elena mutters, "Oh no."
A man rushes out and yanks her away. He slaps her hard. Furious, she ignored calls and skipped work. She tells Robert, "I'm fine." Then the pimp tosses him a card. "This girl's trash, but if you need company, call us.
We've got better ones." Once again, Robert watches helplessly as Elena is taken away. He did nothing. After that night, Robert never saw Elena again until the diner owner told him she was badly beaten and now in the ICU.
Robert rushed to the hospital. There, he saw her bruised, battered, barely recognizable. A young girl sat nearby. Her name was Mandy, Elena's friend. She said Elena had been hit for disobeying orders.
One night, a client slapped her, and she slapped back. The guy got furious, called Slavy, demanded a refund.
Slavy threatened to break her spirit.
He wanted to make an example of her, so the other girls wouldn't dare to rebel.
Back in his room, Robert looked at the knife from Slavy's thugs and Elena's demo CD.
He remembered telling her she could be anything she dreamed of.
But now her attempt to fight back had left her broken by both the client and her boss.
Still, Robert remembered the promise he made to his late wife to never return to his old life. He sat quietly, deep in thought about what to do next.
Cut to Slavy's office above a restaurant. Robert came with peace in mind. He offered $9,800 cash to buy Alina's freedom.
He only asked that the girl no longer work for him, but Slavy mocked him. "She's a moneymaker," Slavy said.
Wait 10 years.
"You can have her for free when she's old." He was insulted by Robert's presence and offer. His goons reached for guns. Robert didn't flinch. He calmly took the money back and tidied up Slavy's messy desk, placing everything just where it belonged, or maybe where he wanted it to belong. Everyone looked confused. "What's this old guy doing?" they whispered.
As he walked to the door, they taunted him. Then Robert paused, turned around, and locked the door behind him. "Forget something," they laughed. He scanned the room, memorized the people and layout, calculated how long it would take and said, 16 seconds. Then he clicked his watch.
Time to act. He stepped forward and counted softly. The thugs drew weapons, but Robert, unarmed, grabbed everyday objects. In seconds, he took them all down.
Calm, silent, deadly.
He stared at a dying Slavy and said, "You should have taken the money." Slavy asked who he really was, but never got the answer. He was gone.
After the brutal massacre, news reports speculated it was gang conflict.
Slavy's boss, Pushkin, sent his right-hand man straight from Moscow. His name, Teddy Nikolai, a former Russian Special Forces soldier.
He was sent to find and eliminate whoever killed Slavy.
Pushkin's operation stalled.
Teddy was here to clean up.
A corrupt cop on their payroll told him the killer disabled the security system and took out 5 men in seconds, no trace left.
Cops guessed it was a team of 2 or 3. But Teddy knew better.
From the wounds and the weapons used, he realized this was the work of one highly skilled individual far beyond any regular cop's ability.
He ordered surveillance across 6 blocks, reviewed all cameras.
Someone this good couldn't stay hidden for long.
Meanwhile, it was Ralphie's big day, the security guard test.
But he didn't show. Robert asked around. Turns out, Ralphie had quit.
Curious, Robert visited Ralphie's mom's diner and found them cleaning up.
There had been a fire the night before, serious damage. Ralphie said he had to help his MON now. Robert noticed the ruined security camera and suspected the fire wasn't an accident. Maybe it was extortion. Elsewhere, Teddy ordered Frank, a dirty cop helping both sides,
to take him to the Irish mob's hideout.
They arrived soon after. John, the Irish boss, denied involvement in Slavy's death.
He even mobbed the Russians, saying if he wanted Pushkin's turf, he would have taken it already.
He hated Russian thugs, called them leeches. Teddy didn't like his tone, so he made an example of him.
One punch after another.
While Frank, the double-crossing cop, said nothing.
But today, Frank was with Teddy,
so he had to play along.
He shot one of the Irish thugs.
Teddy kept punching. John collapsed.
Frank argued they didn't kill Slavy, but Teddy replied coldly, "Let this be a warning.
Everyone should know I'm here." Back at the hotel, Teddy called Pushkin with updates.
Every gang in town denied involvement in Slavy's death.
Pushkin warned, "Don't show weakness. Find him fast." Teddy explained, "Whoever did this
isn't just good. He's beyond anything I've seen.
But I'll find him." That night, he made a vow. Meanwhile, corrupt cops pressured Ralphie's MON. They scared customers off and demanded money.
But Robert recorded everything.
He walked in calm and firm. Tossed that money back to the owner.
He had video proof of their extortion.
But dirty cops never learn. Not until they get hurt. They tried to gang up on Robert, but even 2-on-1, they lost.
Robert held a gun to the corrupt officer's head.
You should stand for something.
Cops are meant to serve and protect, he said. Now go return what you stole, and tell everyone this insta-day.
You've got one chance to do the right thing. If you do, I'll delete the video. The next morning, they showed up bruised and humbled. The crooked cops returned the money to Ralphie's MOM, and to the other shopkeepers in the neighborhood too.
Everyone was thrilled.
Meanwhile, Nikolai found out a prostitute had stood up to Slavi and got hospitalized for it. He tried to track her down Alina.
When he couldn't find her, he cornered her friend Mandy instead. At first, she claimed not to know where Alina was, but eventually, she confessed a black man visited her friend in the ICU. Once Nikolai got what he wanted, he strangled her to death.
On the other side of town, Ralphie officially joined the security team.
His friends congratulated him on his new uniform.
He looked over at Coach Robert and gave a grateful nod.
Meanwhile, Nikolai reviewed CCTV footage near the hospital and the scene of Slavy's death.
He spotted a tall man in both places. The footage was dark, but he was convinced it was the same person. He noticed the man walked in, but there was no footage of him leaving.
Nikolai ordered his men to find this guy fast. Cut to Robert, at work as usual until something unusual happened. A petty thief stormed in and pointed a gun at Jenny, the cashier.
Robert was right nearby and calmly told her to stay cool.
He assessed the situation and scanned for risks, but seeing children nearby, he knew now wasn't the time for a fight. He told Jenny to do what the robber said. She handed over cash and her ring. Robert let the thief walk out. He followed quietly, memorized the license plate, then walked to the hammer section.
The next day, Jenny found her ring back in the register. She looked around, confused. Meanwhile, Robert wiped blood off a hammer and returned it to the shelf. You can guess what he did. Meanwhile, Nikolai advanced his investigation.
That night, he visited Robert's home, posing as a detective on the Slavi case. Robert answered every question flawlessly.
There was no slip-up at all. Nikolai showed him Mandy's photo and asked if he knew her. Of course he did.
But he lied and said no. What happened to her? Nikolai replied coldly.
She fell, broke her neck.
Both men were sharp, quick on their feet,
neither giving the other an inch. They saw through each other.
Robert knew Nikolai wasn't a real cop,
and Nikolai now knew Robert was the killer. Back in his car, Nikolai said, "Everything about this guy feels wrong." He then told his team to dig up Robert's background. No military history, just a college degree.
A typical paper trail.
But it was too perfect. Fabricated. The cleaner it looked, the more suspicious it became.
Nikolai ordered, "Don't kill him yet. I want him alive." He had to find out what this man used to do and who he worked for now. Meanwhile, Robert went shopping for supplies. Preparing to leave town, Nikolai sent men posing as electricians to ambush him at the diner.
But Robert spotted the fake instantly. "You alone? Or should I wait for the others?" The man played dumb.
"Sorry, what do you mean?"
Robert replied. "Your hands too soft for an electrician." Caught. The man pulled a gun and forced Robert outside.
But just then, a car pulled up, blocking Nikolai's view. He never got to witness Robert's brutal efficiency. Using only a book and a knife, Robert took him out. Then he snapped a photo of Nikolai and rushed home.
He packed everything ready to vanish. On his way back, he cleverly misled his followers.
When they arrived at his home, Robert was gone, but he had left hidden pinhole cameras throughout the house.
Watching from a secret room, he observed their every move and overheard their plans.
Realizing he was up against a Russian crime syndicate, Robert visited an old CIA colleague, Susan, and her husband Brian.
Brian said, "I never believed you died in that car bombing." It turns out, Robert faked his death wanting to leave his violent past behind and keep his promise to his wife to live a new life.
Susan shared intel about Pushkin, the Russian mob boss, and his illegal empire's fuel, weapons, women worth billions. Nikolai was his best enforcer, ex-Spetsnaz, ruthless beyond human.
He was trusted to eliminate anything in Pushkin's way. Susan warned, "They won't stop, not until they kill you or someone you care about." Robert told her about Alina, the girl he helped. He barely knew her, but couldn't look away.
He couldn't stand to see good people suffer. "I just helped where I could," he said.
Susan replied, "That is who you are, Robert."
Then Robert returned to doing what he did best. He stormed into Frank the dirty cop's home, beat him down, handcuffed him to a gas-piped car, and demanded info on Pushkin. At first, Frank resisted, but pain made him talk.
He led Robert to a warehouse.
It was where the Russian mob kept their cash. Robert took down the guards with finesse, trapping them in a freezer, and declaring Pushkin's out of business here. He then handed out cash to innocent workers uninvolved in the crime. He forced Frank to call the cops. Frank shouted, "I'm a dead man if I rat them out," Robert said, then died standing. It was time for Frank to act like a real cop. He finally handed Robert a USB filled with Pushkin's criminal records. Meanwhile, Nikolai met with a new assassin, but after the hitman stepped away for a bathroom break, Robert sat in his place placing bloodied, broken glasses on the table. The assassin was already dead. Nikolai was impressed.
"When you look at me, what do you see?"
Robert smiled in silence. Nikolai said, "Nothing. I feel nothing. You're like lint or trash.
Something to dispose of." Robert brought up his past, how he was an orphan.
He killed his foster parents out of fear of abandonment.
He betrayed before he could be betrayed.
Nikolai smiled blankly. "You think you know me."
"I admit it, I'm heartless." He didn't want a heart. "It only makes you weak," Robert said. "I always give people a choice." Nikolai replied, "So do I."
Robert handed him a number. "Call when you decide. I've done things I'm not proud of. I swore to someone I love I'd never go back to that life. But for you, I'll make an exception," then added, "You asked what I see when I look at you. But what do you see when you look at me?" Nikolai understood right away.
It was the same emptiness. Nothing.
Robert stood and walked away silent, deadly, and composed. Robert returned home, reviewed the files on Pushkin's criminal empire, and forwarded them to the FBI. Then, he bombed a $1 billion submarine, systematically dismantling Pushkin's operations in America. But Nikolai retaliated, kidnapping Robert's SEAL workers, including Ralphie, and ordered a kill on sight for Robert. He even called to mock him about it. But Robert had predicted it. He welcomed those thugs into his second home, Mart.
He snuck in, adjusted the pass system to draw Ralphie into the security room.
Then, he began picking up the thugs one by one. He used Ralphie as bait to lure them out, then ordered him to let the others out through the delivery entrance. Make sure everyone gets out.
Don't leave anyone behind. As the mafia spread out, Robert killed the lights and started crafting deadly traps from the store's tools.
He turned everyday hardware into weapons. Nikolai's men were no match, but Nikolai himself was.
He shot Robert in the shoulder. Still, Robert slipped away.
He used a heated doorknob to cauterize the wound. Then, he fought one of Nikolai's top men. It was a brutal, bloody fight. Robert was wounded, but managed to kill him.
Just then, Ralphie showed up.
"You told me not to leave anyone behind."
Together, they dodged bullets in the darkness.
Robert gave Ralphie his watch. You've got 40 seconds. Get to the power panel. Then Robert grabbed something and continued to plan alone. When Ralphie flipped the breaker, lights came back and one thug was blown up by a rigged microwave.
The fire alarm rang, and water rained down.
Nikolai now chased Ralphie, but before he could get close, Robert shot him with a nail gun. Robert walked up, cool and collected, fired nail after nail, then delivered the final shot to the throat. Nikolai was dead. 3 days later, Robert traveled to Moscow to finish the job.
Pushkin, the kingpin, was bathing unaware of what was coming. Suddenly, the lights went out.
Robert appeared from the shadows and said, I came to cut off the head of the snake. Pushkin stayed calm. Kill me and what do you gain? Robert replied, peace. Pushkin asked, what's peace worth to you?
How much do you want? Robert disappeared into the shadows. Moments later, Pushkin was electrocuted.
Back in America, Robert ran into Elena looking brighter, happier, and more confident.
She said she'd started reading and even found a new job.
Someone had left her an envelope at the hospital with nearly $10,000 and a bus ticket.
No name.
Robert said nothing.
He simply smiled and called her singer Elena. She thanked him softly.
She leaned in and kissed him on the cheek. Then they went their separate ways.
Robert returned to his quiet life, but now he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
He opened his laptop and checked his offer to help people in need.
He would use his skills to protect the helpless because that's who he truly is, Robert McCall.
And that's the end of the Equalizer Part 1.
This was The Equalizer 2014, a shadowy justice thriller. IMDb rated it 7/10.
Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it 61%, and the audience 77%. If you love this genre, it's a must-watch.
You can stream the full film on Apple TV.
If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Khan Studio signing off.
See you in the next one.